Hey, it's your boy Exodus here. All right, guys, I'm glad to be back. All right, so today we're going to be talking about brakes, right? A lot of people don't really understand this. There's like three really different type of brakes that us car users use. They all depend on what you're using them for, how much stopping power, the noise, the dust. You know, sometimes your like rims get dirty as hell. Like you get all this like black, almost like powder on it. Well, that's related to the brake pads. They make that's literally why it accumulates so much dust. Especially like ceramic or organic types, they release a lot of dust and it ends up getting all over your rims. And that's why sometimes even though you just cleaned your car, you just cleaned your rim's dirty, full of like black fucking like tar dust, if you want to call it that. Anyway, so that's what we're going to be talking. So I'll just cut to the intro. And we are back. All right, guys. So first thing we're going to be talking about is metallic braking. Now, the difference with metallic braking is that it's usually made of a couple of materials: copper, iron, steel, other composite, alloys. So there's always this debate, right, where they say, is having a metallic, ceramic, which one gives you better performance, which one will aid you in braking and stopping power, like which one is the best? Well, it comes into simple terms like this, right? So metallic gives you that better performance, that stopping power right there, right then, right where you need it. But it comes with a cost. So it's, there's pros and cons for everything. But if you, as I say, metallic has a better stopping power, but you also do sacrifice a little bit of your brake system, right? So your rotors will take a little bit more damage. It'll actually get worn out quicker. And I know that out of personal experience. My vehicle had had semi-metallic brakes, and I had slotted rotors, and after constant use for, I would say, 4 to 6 months, the rotors were gone. Like the slots were gone, and it was just a slick rotor. So semi-metallic brakes do end up damaging the brake system over time a little bit quicker, so you would have to replace rotors, and rotors are quite expensive. So it really comes down into the pro and cons of how you want that to work out. You understand? So I would say if you want better performance and you don't mind having to replace your rotors a little bit more often, I would say, go metallic. But if not, I would stick with ceramic. It just ends up falling to you. Like brakes really are user preference. What are you using for? If you're using it as a daily car and you're going to work, going grocery shopping, I don't believe that you need something so aggressive as that. And plus, you're going to be having a much noisier ride. Like cars that have metallic brake pads are pretty loud. Like you hear that screeching noise that usually happens with ceramic brakes when they're at the end of their lifetime. That's when that little thing that sticks out, little metal clip that sticks on the pads, that ends up like scraping the rotor to let you know, like, hey dog, your shit's low. You need to get that shit fixed. You need to get that shit replaced. But that's the only time you ever hear like these loud screeching noises coming out of ceramic brakes. So metallics, yes, better performance, yes, better stopping power, louder, a little bit more dust comes out of it, so it does dirty up your rims a little bit more. So in the long run, I would say you are spending more with metallic brakes. All right, so you'll be spending more not because of it'll wear out quicker, but also your rotors will wear out quicker, which means you'll have to dump a little bit more money every time you go to replace your brakes. Because not only do you have to replace the brakes, but you have to replace the rotors. So again, I wouldn't advise this for the daily drivers to take this to work or just to commute. I wouldn't. Metallic brakes mostly are for performance vehicles that go to the drag strip, or people that You know, like going to Mexico to street race. That's where you would, or and also like braking power really depends on how much power your vehicle is pushing. If you're only pushing like about what? If you're only pushing about less than 500 horsepower, I wouldn't advise you to get metallic. Like really, like you don't have enough horsepower to like. You're not at top speed. You're not like aggressively accelerating and like having to stop immediately. So having a good brake system for a vehicle that has, I don't know, less than 500, like I said, like you're saying, like a Nissan Sentra, which has like maybe, I would say, 90 horsepower. I'll correct that over here because I'm pretty sure it doesn't have that much. It definitely has like 150 or something. But regardless, you have something like that and you put like superior braking power on that shit, like it's too much. It would be like overkill. You don't need that. That would be also you spending way too much money in the rotors and the brakes. When essentially you can just go with ceramic and save your rotors and your brakes in the long run because ceramics are a little bit more durable. So that's my take on metallic. All right, so ceramic brake pads, they've been around since the mid-1980s, right? So it's like a pad that we've been working on, we've improved on, we've gotten it better. It's just a technology that's old and it's trusted and it's done well, right? So the noise levels with ceramic brakes, or I would say almost non-existent. There's no noise. I promise you, like when brakes are applied, you will not be, you know, hearing any extra little noises. It's really quiet. It's really good. And that's what comes stock with most vehicles, especially most vehicles that don't exceed a certain amount of horsepower. They usually just come with ceramic, right? Because that, again, it is very cost efficient. Almost messed that up. Very cost efficient, very durable, and doesn't make as much noise and has a very low dust. Produces less dust, which then will mean you don't have to clean your car as often, right? So the benefits of ceramic are very positive, and since all basic cars have it, it would be kind of like a brake you would want to stick with. And again, it might be slightly more expensive to use ceramic, but in the end, you are getting a more durable brake, a more quieter ride, and you won't have to risk in, you know, it being affected if, you know, temperatures rises and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, it's like the middle point. It isn't as, you know, strong as a metallic brake is when causing the friction, the heat to stop your vehicle, but it won't have issues with it being overheated as you would with organic brakes, which we're going to talk about next. It's more reliable than in different situations than an organic brake. It has a huge range that it can accept that is tolerable for. Now, think about this, right? So ceramic, like I said, can handle a variety of temperatures, as I said before, but there is a little caveat to that. Very cold conditions, like I would say probably like Alaska, Vermont, you know, those countries, those states that are very cold. Ceramic is really not recommended for that, just because the brake pads don't really perform the best at very cold temperatures. That's why, like ceramic, they said, like in hot temperatures, it definitely dissipates the heat better and doesn't, you know, cause brake failure. Now, when it's in very cold climates or racing conditions, that's when it could have issues. You know, cold starts and you're just taking off, slamming on the brakes. And then racing conditions, which is crazy amount of heat produced, because, you know, in racing you do apply trail braking, braking in like certain corners, you know, trying to like slow down the vehicle. It does take a bit of the vehicle, especially if you're going from 150 and you're like trying to slow down the car to take a turn to accelerate again. Then there's another turn you have to make, so then you have to decelerate from whatever speed you're at down to the speed that's safe so you can corner it correctly. And then while you're doing a corner, depending on how you're going about it, you could use trail braking, or you could end up having to, you know, slam on the brake because of something, and like constant use of the brakes will end up heating it up to extreme points. As you see in some videos where the car is, the rotors are like red, or not red, orange. Now that right there is an immense amount of heat that ceramic just isn't meant for. You know, that is something more that along the lines that you would run metallic in that case. But again, daily driver, daily use, you know, to commute, great brake system. It's been around, like since I said, since the mid-1980s, and I would stick with that for now, at least, until they either make something better or metallic. They can fix the semi-metallic issues with it, the dust particles and the noise levels. But other than that, that's my recommendations for that ceramic. All right, next one. Whoa, crazy enough, right? So now we're getting to the organic braking system, right? So I didn't really mention it that much when I was talking about metallic ceramic because those are the common ones that we use nowadays. There is organic braking, right? It has changed over the years, especially as they found out that originally they were made with asbestos, which, you know, we ended up finding out is not really good for us to be inhaling or to be just throwing out there in the air. You know, it doesn't seem like a very good, how to explain? It's just not really good for your lungs. So imagine if you're like slamming on the brakes, right? And you're driving, all that asbestos is going all over the air. Like, cause it is still gonna produce dust particles. You know, it's not as much as semi-metallic but it's a little bit more than the ceramic. So you'll still be throwing all this dust of asbestos. It'll be on your car, it'll be on your rims. When you're cleaning your rims, you're inhaling that. Believe me, not good. But they switched that years ago once they realized that asbestos is really, really bad for your health. So now it's really made out of mixtures of fibers, rubber, compounds, I think glass and fiberglass. Same thing, Kevlar, all that stuff. So it is a material that is now a little bit safer to use, but again, it still doesn't provide that same reliability, I would say, as ceramic does. So you gotta think about fiberglass, right? We use that as sometimes, you know, the body of a vehicle can be made with fiberglass. We have fiberglass insulation, and so there's so many places that use it. It's just not a strong compound. It definitely will wear out faster. So imagine you're like, these are all organic things. They grab heat and they kind of burn, right? They kind of, I won't say disintegrate, but it is a lot more harsher thing when you're slamming on that brake and that heat is being applied to the pad. Because if many of you didn't know, brakes and how they function. So they don't function as in you press it, it stops the vehicle, right? What it does is it converts, you know, what's the word? Damn, I won't say physical, but it's not physical. What they do is they grab forward moving motion, right? So, and they, like I said before, they do, you know, dissipate and they do wear out faster. But you also have to deal with things like the extreme weather. It's not really suited for that. So whenever it's too hot or too cold or anything in between, if you use the brakes too much, it will end up affecting the brakes, and sometimes your brake could fail. You know, like they do say it's used, the recommended is to use that for, you know, commutes and everything else. But again, the extreme weather, like if you're like in California or somewhere really, really, really hot and you're using those brakes and the time you need it to brake, it doesn't engage correctly, that could be an issue. Not only that, is since it's organic, it's very, has a higher chance of it being level of compressibility. So it's very easy to compress organic material than something as hard as a rock like ceramic. Right? So you would actually have to apply more pressure on your brakes to stop the vehicle, which to me, that would be a scary function. Is you're just driving and then going, I'm like, oh God, what? It's not stopping. You have to slam onto that brakes. And that is an issue that you would have when you go into ceramic. So it is, a issue that we do have to work on, but not really. It is cheaper. It does make less noise. But that just means you have to buy more of them because, again, they do wear out faster. So you'll be replacing your brakes a lot more often than if you had ceramic. I know I kind of did the order of this backwards, where I did kind of like the best brake, the middle grade, and then the grade that you don't really want to have. So it's just my advice, don't get organic brakes. Yes, there's a lot of, pros to it, but just as much pros as it has to it, there's so many cons. You can go on the cheap side, but if I were you, I'd just invest a little bit more money, go into ceramic. Easiest one to go to, seriously. If you're a daily driver and you commute, you want to be safe, I would say stick with ceramic. You go into the metallic round, well, then you're kind of looking for performance, and you're trying to, I don't know how to say it. But thank you guys for watching our video today. There's no sponsor. But I have spoken with Ricky about the projects we'll be working on and what are they. We are going to continue working on his Challenger and eventually mine once I move to a different location where the regulations aren't so tight on, doing performance mods on vehicles, and they're not so annoyingly trying to give you tickets for like dumb stuff like noise complaints and emissions and all that crap. But then we also have a Miata that we'll be working on. Actually, that one is going to be one of our biggest projects. Is like, basically we're going to have to repair the engine. There's some issues with the engine with it starting. So we're going to work on that for a little bit. And we also have a Corvette, a nice Corvette. I can't remember what year Ricky told me, but she's a beauty. She's definitely going to be a long amount of work, but that's going to be in a different, playlist. But yeah, so those are the projects we have in the future. Please stick with us. We'll try to keep expanding our playlist. So we'll have multiple different things running in the background, and I hope that our content excites you guys a little bit. Thanks for watching. Please do hit that like, subscribe, and that bell notification so that you can get more stuff from us. We will be creating more content like this in the future, where I'll sit down, talk to you guys about some things, my recommendations about the vehicle. We also have our other, crap we're dealing with our podcast, which has nothing to do with vehicles, but that's going to be for something else. We're right here in this channel, we'll be focusing more on the vehicles and talking about cars. Other than that, I'm going to stop saying and So, damn. Thanks for watching. Deuces.